Okay, so we will have like a hands-on work because we will start a Git repository today. And I will do the demonstrations and you will do the same thing in your computers. So we will use these stickers. Each one of you grab one. And if you feel you need help, you do this. So it's easily identifiable. And I can reach you. And in case any of you already succeeded doing the activity, you can help your friends as well, okay? So grab one. Those are the good ones, so you should keep them for the whole course. We'll keep using this. And another thing that I did is I sent you on Slack a document. Is a simple text document. And if you have like any questions, please interrupt me and you can ask on the mic. But if you have some questions like that you don't feel like you're comfortable asking out loud, you can type the question in any language. Even Spanish, we'll try to get that too. But it's another way of asking questions as well. We'll keep doing this if it works. So, and there's an ice-breaking activity as well. I don't know your name, so when you are asking questions, if you can please tell your name so I can relate your faces with your names, please. That helps too. And I think we are good to go now. Who pointed? Okay, so we will talk today. Oh, there's something happening here. We'll talk today about version control using Git. And so I'll give a brief introduction of Git. We'll do together a Git setup and our first commit together. We'll use a lot the word commit. There are a lot of other commands in Git, but the commit is the one that creates a version. So it's the most common for us to say. So imagine we are doing an analysis for a particular project, and we have this structure. And I have a first script, and that script generates an output. Okay, but things change in life. And I decided to modify my script, add more analysis, and now I have a second result. But things get messy, and then we decide to be more informative, and we decide to make clear which one is the script that we are using currently, which one we are not, and then we decide that we have a result to erase, and we have another result now, and now is the final. It is never the final. We all know that. And because it's never the final, we start creating more scripts, and now we decide another good technique for naming files, which is dating. That's great, right? We all have been there. And this easily escalates to something that we do not have control, because we do not know the difference between different versions of like what is results 1 and what is results 2, what is the difference between them. We dated the script, but what does that mean? It's the day that we created the script. It's the day that we last modified the script. We don't know. We lost track if we removed any file in the middle, if any code, chunk of code is missing, or we added something new. So version control are systems that deals with this chaos, so we don't have to do that anymore. And it records change through time, because it's important to track history of what we are doing, but we won't do that by creating multiple versions of the same file using different names. We'll create different copy of these files through time. We can easily go back if a mistake was taken, and we can easily understand the difference between two versions of the same file. And it's really, really a good tool to share analysis and to work collectively. So Git is the system of version control. It is a free software. It is distributed, which means that no one has a main copy. And we have clones and branches among computers and users. GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket are web hosts for Git repositories. So we have different hosts. I asked all of you to create a GitHub account. We all succeeded on that? Okay, great. And they are tools to facilitate like collaboration, and you can easily like install a package that is hosted on GitHub or GitLab. So Git is the system. We have those hosts. We will use a lot of GitHub, is the most common one, but we really like GitLab as well. It has a lot of good functionalities too. So Git allows us to control text files. By text files, we are talking about TXT, CSV, Markdown files, R scripts. We can include other types of files, like binary files, like a document or a PDF. But we won't, like Git won't track those changes exactly. And the user decides which files to include in a Git repository and which one you want to track. It serves locally and offline. So we have the hosts online, but the track of the changes, the commit that we do, this is completely local and offline. So if I'm traveling, I'm at the airport, I have no internet, and I'm doing my analysis because I'm out of time in my master's or in my PhD. That's the only reason we work at an airport. But we are there doing an analysis, and we made an important change. You want to commit that, you can do that. And you enter the airplane, and you keep working, and you do another change, and you commit that. Once you arrive somewhere with internet, you can just push those commits to the remote. So the track is completely local and offline, and communicates with the remote service. So we work, we make changes, we save a version, and we send the version to remote. That's the basic Git workflow. That's what we will be doing. And there are commands to do that. So we have, and the commands, we will use a bash terminal to use the Git commands, because it's not something. There are packages that that makes connections with Git, but I particularly don't like using them. I prefer using the terminal for that. And in our studio, there's like a visual tool as well to do commits and pull and pushes, as you will see. But we will make Git commands in a bash terminal, okay? Not inside R. So we have 4 states. We have a working directory. which is like our project directory that we were working. And we add files to be tracked, to be monitored, and the modifications in the files will be tracked. We have a staging area, so every time we add a new file or modify an existing file, we add that. This is the staging area. And then the commit. The commit creates a version with added files. And push that sends to the remote all the new commits. So you can make like several commits per file. You can make several commits for different files. You can make like multiple commits and one push, one commit, one push. It really depends on how you like to work. But this is like a basic Git workflow. The dots represent a particular version, a particular commit. And we have like a main branch that we work. It is super common in computation to use the term master and slave to relate to asymmetric systems. And we all know that this should not be accepted, and it was used for 100 years, basically. But recently, GitHub and GitLab and other tools changed the denomination to main. So the main branch is called main. This is an important change. And so the basic workflow is to have like sequential commits. And you can do that from one computer or several computers, it doesn't matter. The line corresponds to the commits through time. And this is really good because if you do that right, you'll be happy with yourself from the past. And you look at like a repository and will say, wow, I can understand everything that happened here. So how we do that? So imagine that we have like a first version with 3 files. And in a second version, you can modify only like the A1 and C1 file. B file remains the same here. In version 3, I modify only the C2 file. And A1 and B remain the same. I'm not changing the name of the files. These letters, these numbers here are just to mark a particular version. So the file name remains the same. What changes is the content through time, and we mark that with different versions. So each version here is a different commit. So in this commit, I changed only A1, C1. In this commit, I changed only this one. In this version, I changed A and B, and in the final version, I changed B and C, okay? So we have basic Git commands that we will use a lot, and this will be always performed in a terminal. So first one is git init. Git init starts a Git repository. This will be done only once per repository, okay? Every time you are starting a repository, you use that. Next time, you won't be using git init anymore. Git status is super useful because it will tell you like the current status of the repository. It will tell you if you have any files that you changed and haven't committed yet. It will show the current status. Git pull will bring changes from the remote to your local computer. If you are working with more than one people, or if you are working from different computers to the same remote, it is always super important to git pull before you start changing things. Git add file name will add a new file or changes to the same file. So I started a file, I do a first commit to add that file to the remote. And if I change the file, anything, I will do git commit again, git add again, sorry. We will git commit, and that creates a version. And the command is git commit -m, and between quotation marks, we'll use an informative and very informative message inside, not that message, of course. We'll talk more about messages in commits, because sometimes we start like, I added this file. That's not informative because we already know that the file is being added. So it's important to tell why you are doing that, like in short words. Of course, you won't be writing a dissertation about why you were making a particular change. So we have always to connect a Git local repository to a remote. We will use Git remote v to list, to know, we can check what is the remote. And we can add a remote, and we do that by using git remote add origin and the URL of the repository. And then the final step is to push everything, all of your commits, to the main or any branch that you are working, but to the origin. So git push origin main will send the local commits to the main branch. And git pull will pull the commits from GitHub to the local computer. So first time, as I said, we have to initialize a repository, so we'll do git init. We will only be doing that once. We add a file, things happen, we add one file, we add another file, and then we commit that. So I have 2 adds and 1 commit at the same time. I can do that any way that I want. And then I'm modifying again the file 1. I added a new file. That is a different version. And then I push everything to the origin. So we can use simply git push -u to push to the origin as well. Next times that you are working, as I said, it's always advisable to start pulling. Even if you're working by yourself, it's really helpful to like keep that in mind and always pull before anything change. And then you add a file, you modify a different file, you commit that, that's a new version, you push that. So let's set Git configurations. And what we will do today is we will use the same project structure.
So I wanted to ask about the add. You need to add every file every time. Can you just use dot if you're working like you want to push the repository?
You can add, like there are ways of adding multiple files at the same time. So you can do like git add and dot. It will add all files that you modified at once. But you have to be sure that you want to add like all files. That you have there. We will talk about ways of doing that in a better way. We have like a way to tell Git which files to ignore, so you can tell Git to ignore particular files, and then you can use that with more confidence. But yeah, you can add like multiple files. And using the interface in RStudio, it's also easy to like select all files and click and add all of them at the same time.
I was just asking if there was any particular reason to add each file.
The reason depends on you. So it's something that you learn through time. Like imagine that you modified a script, and it's the first chapter of your thesis. And you modify that script and the result and the output from that. And then you went to the manuscript and you write down something that is related to that change. I would add like the script, the output, and the modification in the manuscript in the same commit, for instance. I would add, and that is a block. Yeah. That is a version that I want to mark. So it really depends on your workflow and how you want to do that.
One question is, if you commit something wrong, something that you made wrong, like, you can erase the commit?
Yes, there are ways to revert a particular commit, and you can go back to like another stage. But as we learn, like from all science fiction movies, like going back on time is never a good idea to change things in the past. So we will revert things if like it really affects the history. Other way, like I did analysis wrong. I did wrong, like or for whatever reason. There's no problem in having like one commit with something in which something is wrong. So the next commit, you like fixing the bug. That is a classic commit. So you can revert, but you can choose what to do with the history that you are creating, basically.
Another question. If I publish something and I see the Git repository, and I can't make changes in the future after publish the paper or something like this?
Yes, of course. I mean, something that I always check, like when I'm reading a paper and then there's a Git repository associated to it, something that I will always track is like, when was the last modification? Was it before the paper or after? And like there's the README page, like the first thing that you see in a repository. And it's a good thing to record there, like if you modified something after the paper was published or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the usage of those commands to add. Do you have to be inside the folder where the file is, or do you use like, okay.
Yes. We will always like be using the commands from the project directory.
Okay, and you
can like add the full path to it as well, like git add, like home, my project, my analysis, blah, 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 the absolute path. You can do that as well, but we will be usually working from the project directory.
Well, I believe that like would be easier, but as you're saying, I don't know, just seems to me that the Git would be like more chaotic than just saving it, because I don't know, seems like many, how can I say, like many archives and some would be wrong.
I mean, I would get back to the first part of the class, because I don't think it's easy to track changes through time without a version control system. Like, it's easy to, like, you just, things are not, we don't, like, do research in a beautiful, clean, and linear way. So things change a lot, and it's a good way to, like, have a backup of all the changes that you did to get there. So it doesn't matter if you have something wrong in the middle. Like at the end, what we hope is that in the end, when you end a project, you have like a final version that is the best version that you had at that time. Like you can learn later that something was not absolutely correct, but the paper is already published and whatever, but you can get back to fix things, but like that is the best version that we have at that moment, and that's it. I think with it might seem like a lot, but once you get used to it, it's easy. Like it's always like complicated and confusing, and every time you can like you will have a conflict at some point, and sometimes you have to like delete the entire local repository that you have and start from the beginning. That happens as well, but I wouldn't like change for like not controlling at all. Okay. So we will set the configurations, and what we will do today is that we will convert our RStudio project that we downloaded yesterday into a Git repository, okay? And we will create a remote, and we will do our first commit today together. So, first thing that we all have, and now we will be using the post-its because I need to know if anyone needs help with doing these things. So the first things that we need to tell our computers that we are like Git users. So we will perform the global configuration. So I will open, we can work from RStudio. I will open my project. So I'm open the project that I downloaded yesterday. I unzip it here in a particular folder. We have a tab here that is called Terminal. And we can use this. This is a bash terminal, and you can use from here. If you are using Linux, you can open a bash terminal the way you do. If you are using Windows, after installing it, you end up having a bash terminal. So I usually do like right-click, and you have this window. Like I can open a Git bash terminal here. This is the same that I will be using here. But I will use from like RStudio. So I already did that, but the first thing that you have to do is do this, git config. I also need this. Global and username. In my case, if you already did that, it will appear just as mine. So my username is Sara Mortara, and the computer already knows that. But in your case, you have to do git global username and then your username, okay? As like I would do git username Sara Mortara, that way. Yes, the username of your GitHub account. So your username and the same git global user email, your email, the same way. If anyone needs help, you can use the pink post-it to ask for help.
Yes.
Because they're trying to install
Ah,
all
you don't,
Windows,
okay.
but there's no RStudio as an option.
Ah, no. There's no problem. You can use like, come back. Do you have to?
I have Visual Studio Code, but I think Notepad comes like already like in the so, but I don't know which one's the best option.
Let
If you
me
want, I
just
can
get
try to.
back. Because I mean, it's super straightforward. Next. Okay, you can use like whatever. You have Notepad++?
I guess so. It comes like I guess I have to check.
Não, vai ser no terminal, não no console. E aí sem os...
Eu tenho o Notepad e tenho online.
Pode ser então o Notepad. Então você vai fazer git... Isso. Git, espaço, pode digitar. Git, config, global. É aqui, ó, nessa aba. Isso, nessa aba terminal. Yes. You should do...
It says,
Have you installed Git in your computer? Oh, so that's why. Go to Git, like install Git on Google, something like that. You can go to the main page. Let me show you.
I just click enter.
No, but you don't use the brackets. It's just like your username. And then enter. And go.
Eu escrevo logo depois o outro? Ou
Isso.
Logo depois.
Isso. Dá um enter, aí ele vai. Isso. Git username, Nico. Isso. Perfeito.
De novo.
Aí foi. Aí agora você vai o outro. Git e-mail. Aí pode. Foi o download? Yes. Okay. 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 Then you open the executable file as a normal one and follow the installation, and then you will be able to run git something because it's not understanding that because you don't have git yet. Não, deixa o default.
Tá. É que era aquele negócio de definir o main or master.
Não, mas deixa. Eu acho que. Tá. Nossa, que estranho isso. Tá, segue. Segue, pode assim no main, então. Não deixa o default. Segue assim. Nossa, eu não.
Posso perguntar uma coisa? A Gui, ela sabe um pouco disso. Você acha que ela poderia te
Ai, super.
Aí,
Perfeito. Não, deixa o default.
Tá, vou deixar o recommended.
Isso. Recommended. Vai no recommended. Pode ir. Pode ir. Nessa opção, pode ir.
A gente pode ajudar um ao outro?
Por favor.
Só queria saber se eu estava autorizado. Pessoal, aquelas chaves que estão ali, os colchetes, you don't have to put the colchete.
Yes, you use like your username.
Just that you have to put your username inside this space.
It's exactly as yes.
I'm not sure if I did it correctly.
No, it's because of the brackets. You write like just, you can go back like here,
Okay.
and then just erase that.
It's not appearing like the same.
No, it is that. So it nothing happened. So after you did that, write just like git config global username without your username, and so you can check.
Where?
Here again. You can do this like two, and this, and now it understands that like it's your username. Now you do that with your email.
Okay.
Perfect. And your email, you have to username, perfect. And then you can do like just like she did, without the username, and then it will say okay you. And now you did with your email. Perfect. Já solved.
So it's showing that he does not contain a section global.
It's because global is like right. it doesn't have the space here. It's minus minus 2. And you can check like by like removing your name, and then okay, it's all right. And then you can do the same with your email.
Okay, thank you so much.
Eu consegui passar o comando aqui pelo bash do Git direto, mas aí aqui eu não consigo nem achar o...
Ah, você não está com a aba do terminal. Vai em View, Pens... não, tem um lugar que é direto, acho que não é um... tenta esse, Move Focus to Terminal. Tá, beleza. Mas aí você pode só, assim, colocar git config global username e ver se, tipo, entendeu o seu username e seu e-mail. Ah, perfeito.
Então, na verdade, em relação a diretamente a isso, porque agora quando eu fui ver, tipo, no seu ali, quando você deu a valorização, apareceram todas as coisas dentro do...
Ah, é porque eu tô com um pouquinho de coisa diferente, mas não tem problema.
Dentro do... Ah, mas quando eu criar um projeto novo, todas as coisas vão estar dentro dele, né? Quando eu, por exemplo, escrever o script vai estar dentro dele e não fora.
Isso.
Porque senão estava me perguntando para que serve esse projeto.
Não, isso, perfeito. Ah, ok. Ah, ele tá... Guys, if you need help, Gui can also help you. Okay? Gui, elas... Eu acho que eu vou seguir. Guys, I think that we have like 2 people with problems of Git installation on Windows. I'm not the best person to help with that. But we will get to you and try to get the installation. But I'm worried about the time, so I will keep going, and I will guarantee that we can fix the problem that you two have, okay? Anyone has still a problem with the global configuration? Yes, work together with, so those of you who have problems, work with a partner, and then we will solve your problems, okay? Okay, guys, work with someone, and then we can fix your problem, okay? Otherwise, we won't finish what we have for today. Okay, so we will use...
Sara, before we go on, in the last one, you can just type any username and start using Git like that. Like, could I type in your username in the email and you need no password to do any changes?
No, you will need a password, yes. So, like, we will set a key to, like, tell the computer that you are you. Like, you cannot, like, config my username and my email. Just with that, you cannot use my GitHub account. It is not like that. So we will use, like, the project that we downloaded yesterday. So first thing, like, you will type first git status in your terminal. So we will all do that. I will do that too. In the terminal, not in the console. So git status. It will say it's not a Git repository. Are all of us in the same? Okay. So we will start a Git repository here. I will type git init and voila. We initialized empty Git repository. I didn't. This is what it is. This is in the end of the name of my terminal. I'm not typing that. I'm just typing git blah.
Okay.
It is just a visualization.
Okay, it's because in my computer it doesn't have.
No. If you have,
Yes.
like, the important thing is that when you type status, fatal is not a Git repository yet. Git init and just that. I'm not typing the $sign. Okay, if we type again git status, and we can go back, like, to past commands, like with up arrow. So my git status now is that I have a lot of things here, and they are all untracked files. I have no commits yet. So I will check if I have any remote. So git remote v. And nothing happens because I don't have a remote yet. We will do that. But at this point, we just need to initialize the Git repo. Are we all good? Okay. Now we will make a change in our README, okay? So I will open the README here, and it says some things here, and you can adapt. You can type whatever you feel it's informative. Like in the end, I will type here something. I'm adding a new line because I was told so. That's my change in my README. Okay, I will do something. And now I will add only the README, okay? And in my terminal, I will type git add README, tab autocomplete, so if you start like re and tab, it will complete, autocomplete. So I'm adding my README. And if I go back here, and I will commit this. Git commit minus message, and then inside quotation marks, you type your message. So this is my first commit. Yay. Okay. So what we need now is edit your README. Edit your README, do whatever you want in your README. Wait, first things that you all need to be in your project directory. Do not do that from any other place. I opened my project, I double-clicked in the project here, and I'm doing that from RStudio because I guarantee that I'm in the correct path inside my repository. So go.
Professor?
The Git configuration part you can do from whatever place you want, but this part, Git init, everything that we did from Git init to now, we need to be doing Git init. And this part, we all need to do in the repository of the project. You can do outside RStudio, the thing from the terminal here. Now you are already inside the correct, yes, so git init to initialize. You change your README because, okay, there's just a warning. Okay, I will explain something because that's something important in version control. Every operational system has a different type of ending files, text files. So I had this warning here when I added my README because the line final is being replaced by the line final used in Windows. And it's always advisable to use LF as the standard. So we can go in global options, code, saving, line ending conversion, POSIF LF, and apply. This is always like the good way to do. But if you have like this warning, we don't have to be worried right now, but we can fix that later. But it's not a problem. You are good. Git add and git commit. O seu tá vazio, né? Por que tá vazio o seu projeto? Não, você tem que dizipar o seu primeiro extrair. A primeira coisa é extrair, volta lá. Isso aqui é um zip. Aí você vai extrair. Extrair. Pode extrair aí onde você está. Mostrar os arquivos. Aí você vai abrir lá da onde a gente... Cadê? Aqui. Aí sim, aí você abre esse cara aqui. Aí agora faz o git init de novo, que é esse lugar. Git add, perfeito, perfeito. E aí o git commit. Who needs help with git add? Are all of us in git add git commit? Yes? Just a second. We'll get there. I will do my git commit here. I will show you guys now. So I made my commit here. Most of you should do the same. And now I will check the status. Git status is something that you can use like anytime. So right now, I just committed, so I don't have anything else to commit. And I have all of other files that I won't add right now, okay? I will just add that. So Git, we initialized the repository that we will only do once, okay? We asked if there was a remote with Git remote. Nothing happened because we don't have the remote yet. We will do that. Then Git add README. We modified our README. We added. We committed that. Now it's the security part. So I need to guarantee that I am myself actually, and we will do that with a key. So there are two parts of configuring that key. One we will do in RStudio. So we will do that together. I will try to do that slowly so we can all do that together. So in Tools, Global Options, there's here a menu for Git. Let's all... Oh, those of you who are facing problems with RStudio, your case probably, not recognizing Git, might be because RStudio does not know where the Git executable file is. So that should be, you can check that and see if that is correct. So that should be like this. And here you should have like this field empty if you haven't done the configuration yet. I already did, but yours should be empty. So first we need to, we will open this tab, Git SVN. We will check if this is correct. And now you will create a key. So you click here and create a key. And the key will be created. I don't use a passphrase. This is optional. I don't use that because it will every time ask for the passphrase. And if I'm doing the configuration right, I'm the only person who has the key, and for me that's good enough. But if you want, you can use that. But be aware that you'll be asked for this passphrase all the time. And I will leave that empty and click on Create. Okay? So right now, you should have like a key, just like I have. Hmm? Ah, just an image. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's your key. Now you click like View Public Key and you copy that key. Copy your key, and then you will open GitHub. So the first part we did. Okay, we have in our RStudio our key. Do we all have our key? Awesome. Now we have to tell GitHub that this is our key. So you go to GitHub and you go to Settings. And then SSH and GPG keys. And then I have like several keys here because I work from different computers. I have like two computers from work and 3 like different places that I use for work. My personal computer, those names, you can use your creativity and do whatever the way you want, but you click here, new SSH key, you add the title, and you will paste your key here. I won't be doing that because I already did, and I don't want to replace or anything. But you should like be on the same screen as I am, and paste your key, and add a name for that. On GitHub. The name that you want. Like it can be a nickname, it can be whatever. This is for security, and sometimes like sometimes like that's a good question because we can use GitHub without using this key, but this is very important for security, and sometimes like there are repositories that you can only clone using the SSH key. Okay, so that's important to do. That is something important to do. No, the key. She's asking if I have like a public key repository. I don't have to do that. We are doing that so we can like pull and push to that repository. It doesn't matter if it's private or public. Okay. Do we all have our keys on GitHub? Yes. Do we need help here?
So I have copies, but I don't know where to go.
No GitHub. No website. Git website. Aí você vai no GitHub, no seu Settings and Public Key. Aí você vai criar new key. Perfect. Do we all have our keys on GitHub? We did it? Awesome. Okay, so you all should have your keys. This key configuration will be done only once per computer, okay? You saw that I did that many times because I use different computers, but usually we don't have to do that many times. Yes. Just the key part. Yes, and you can like clone the repository or whatever. Okay. Yes, you have to have Git installed and everything. Yes. Okay.
I don't know if any other person are having problems, but I uninstalled it and installed it again, and everything's working on Windows now.
Oh,
yeah.
Great! Yeah. Nothing like doing everything for the second time.
And I just put the next.
Perfect. Yes.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Does it work
for sharing.
Similar for other programming languages and other kind of visualization programs? Like we need to create the same thing to record everything in the Git?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Like we have done this to make the control, to control the versions using Git
Yes.
in our studio. But
Yes.
do you think it works the same for other programming
Oh,
languages and other
yes.
things?
You always have to tell the editor that you are using. You have to set the SSH key for your editor, the editor that you are using. Yes, you are correct. In our studio, we do that with the interface, but in other editors, it will be like somewhere. Okay. So now we will create our remote repository on GitHub, okay? I will do the same. So let's go back. So I'll go to repositories and then click here on new. And we'll write a repository name. I will write like ICTP. You have to go to repositories and new. New. And then you write a repository name. A description here is optional. You can choose if you want a public or private. It's good to have a public so we can like check that it exists. We won't be adding a README because we already have that. And all the rest will leave like the default and just click create repository. I'm creating. Okay. So we created an empty repository, and because Git is super helpful, it is suggesting things for us to do, because this is an empty repository. So this is what we should do. So we already did that locally, git init, git add, git commit. So we will do the next step, that is adding the origin of our repository. So here in the GitHub page, the only thing that we need here is the SSH key. So we will copy this, and then we will do git remote add origin. I will write that because close. So here, git remote add origin, origin, and here. Copy the key. Here we will copy the key from GitHub, and then we go back to the terminal inside our studio, and we will type git remote add origin and paste the key, the path. Not the key. Sorry, I'm saying the key, but yeah. Mine is awful. I can change that by I had I should have git. Yeah, this is not really. Well, I can change that. The important thing here is to add the origin, okay?
we can like set, we could like, I think that we can do this git branch main. Okay. And then we can switch to main. Like if anyone has still have like master as I did, we can do git branch minus m and change to main.
Is there any problem to copy the HTTPS?
No, it's the SSH key.
But I copied, sorry.
She copied this one instead.
No, you should copy. We just did the configuration for SSH key.
Remove.
Remove.
Exato.
No, it's
Isso.
remote here.
Exato, mas é porque você vai ter que excluir aquele para
Isso, isso. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
Aí agora você colocou esse SSH. Ah, não, é esse mesmo.
Git remote add origin. O que está acontecendo? Clica com o botão direito do mouse, então. É Ctrl Shift V, se não estiver funcionando, Ctrl V. Foi? Ótimo. Foi? Git remote tem um ponto.
Não é para ter o ponto?
Não, não é. Git espaço remote espaço add, exatamente como tá. All of us, we added the origin. Okay, now we can check git remote v. Now there's something, okay? We have our local and our remote repositories working, okay? The last thing that we will do is git push origin minus u main. Git space push space origin space minus u space main. The U flag is like, this is for the first time that we are doing this, and then we can just git push. You can use the U, but yeah. Okay, and the thing that we do when we are like learning Git is that we want to check if it really happened. So I'll refresh my page here, and I do have my README. We will all get there. What? Oh, okay. If you have like, I did, wait. The one thing is that I had here a master branch. I don't want that. I can change the name of the main branch by using git branch minus m caps main. And now it's main, and now it will work this way, okay? This is one problem that you can have. The other problem is if you copy-pasted the wrong key, we need to copy the SSH key, because that's what we were configuring. Okay? I'll get there. Most of you are being asked another question if you want to keep going. This is probably because this is the first time that you are cloning, pushing to a repository using the key, and it shouldn't happen in the next times. If you finish in our studio, you can open your GitHub account, and you should be able to see your README on your remote, okay? We all did that? Yes, keep going. Yes, you can go. And you can check on GitHub. Guys, I want to just, guys, I think that most of you got it, right? Okay, we'll be doing more Git tomorrow. There are much more in the class today that I would like to talk, but we won't be able to do everything. You have the slides in the page, so you can go back to there. So
There's a specific file called gitignore in which we will tell which files to ignore. We will do that tomorrow in the workflow because it's not necessary to control everything. Sometimes large files or like files doc or binary files that we don't want to track. We will tomorrow like open our project and a Git tab will appear and we can like use the interface to Git add command and push and everything. There are other ways of working with Git, like we have now the main branch, but we can have like other branches, and this is especially important for software development and like collaborative work. I won't explain this today, but I want to get to, well, it's very, very common to have a conflict. Sometimes it's just you with yourself creating a conflict. Sometimes it's a conflict when you are collaborating with other people. Don't panic, and there are ways to solve it. GitHub has a good interface to see the difference and manage conflicts. You can always solve manually, and in the end, if everything goes wrong, you can clone from zero and fix the errors. So Git is like great, is a super helpful tool, and it's amazing, and we always try to convince people to use it, but yes, bad things happen, and sometimes we need to delete and like start from scratch, and that's okay. Okay, so I'll finish with the good practices. I already told you a bit about the commit messages, so it's a good thing to like really think about an informative message, and much more important than what you are doing, because what you are doing is easily identifiable by Git. It is why you are doing it. If you have like different tasks to perform at the same repository, it's a good idea to work on branches. Use gitignore to ignore files that won't be tracked, because sometimes we have like large files that we won't be adding to GitHub, or specific operational system files. And we will see tomorrow like the diff mode. Every good text editor has a diff mode, so you can check the difference between one version to another. We'll see that tomorrow. And like GitHub, if you are using like a public repository and you find an error, like there's like a lot of resources on GitHub, and you can like write issues on GitHub and really communicate with people through GitHub issues. So today, we set Git in our computer, we converted our project in a Git repository, we created a remote, we modified a file, we saved it, we committed, and we will start using this structure every day. So every day we'll try to commit something to our repo, okay? And that's it. Thank you, guys.